Welcome back to the Shacknews Awards. We are talking about the best PC game to be released this year. So to be eligible for this, you had to be a game that was released on PC in the year 2024. So we do kind of distinguish this from like PC port, but these are new games that released on PC this year. So let's get to the nominations, and then we'll get to talking about them, and then we'll vote. UFO 50. Frostpunk 2, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, Doom, 1+2 remake, remaster, whatever that thing was, The Axis Unseen, and last but not least, Stalker 2. Steve, I saw that you liked UFO 50 quite a bit, or at least you're supporting it. You want to talk about it a little?
I was yeah, I'll talk about it for a few minutes. I was looking at it because I really had no idea where to go. Because originally I thought I wasn't gonna be on the panel for this one right now, so I went with the UFO 50. It looks like it's 50 mini games. So basically, think WarioWare, like the Game Boy Advance WarioWare in an NES fashion, where they're 8-bit mini games. And being the Nintendo fan that I am, hey, 8-bit retro games, I thought looked pretty cool. And variety, there's all kinds of variety and stuff, and I thought that was something that spoke to me.
You're right. This is a game that should be on Switch.
It should be.
This totally is a game that should be on Switch. But it is cool to it's like a bunch of like indie, smaller sized games that are all retro as hell. Yeah, I think it's
sorry. Go ahead. What's really interesting about this, Lucas White reviewed this for us, and from my understanding, these 50 games are retro games that were. Now, I'm going to be tricky about this. Games that were released back in the day from a developer. And so it's a catalog of these games to show how this developer has changed and grown over the years. Except the kicker is, this isn't a real developer. These games never existed. This is a meta museum of games created by an actual developer who went and created a fake developer and created for that developer 50 games. So there's like levels to this, and so in terms of like a story and like a museum collection of games, brilliant. And Lucas, I think, if I'm not misquoting him here, I'll talk in general terms here. I think he talked about some of these games being so good that he would want to go back and just play them. Like, I love this particular one. It's incredibly in depth. It's incredibly fleshed out. Some of the other ones maybe hit or miss or whatnot, but yeah, the fact that there are some hidden gems within this like weird fake collection of games is mind-boggling.
That's a very postmodern idea.
Oh yeah,
and I think that's hilarious. But yeah, like I love retro games, and this is obviously like a lower budget kind of a thing. It's just funny that it's in this category, because this is a category full of like fleshed out AAA, really high quality games. And now here's this little retro bundle that's like awesome in its own right. And yeah, I think it's only on PC right now.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so please port this to other places, people. But a very solid nominee there. Sam, we've talked about this in other categories, but you did review Frostpunk 2 for us this year.
I did, yes.
One of the funnier reviews I've read this year.
Oh, thank you.
Just your stories, like the trials and tribulations of Sam Chandler in the world of Frostpunk 2.
Oh, man.
It's just amusing. And I think it's fun when I'm not experiencing it firsthand, because it's really fun to like watch someone break down the mistakes they made. And like,
if my bumbling idiocy can be funny or even slightly amusing to someone else, then that's fantastic. And you're right, I did talk extensively about Frostpunk 2 in our best strategy game category. So if you haven't already, make sure you listen to that. But Frostpunk 2 is a strategy game with a deep and rich political system where it is not a totalitarian government. You must work with the various factions within your city to pass legislation, to create new policies, and all of them have competing interests. all of them want something different. Some of them might want to create like a transhuman society where people can install various mechanical things into their body, while another faction might want to celebrate the human body in its biological form, and any integration of machinery is completely against their ideology. And it's up to you to go, okay, well, what do we need to survive? Do I want to lean more on the idea of, humans must survive at all costs, or humans must remain separate from machines? And that's just like two of the factions that I encountered. And by the end of the campaign, I think I had 4 or 5 different factions competing. And so you get this situation where you can be researching technology and you discover this new idea of how to handle, mining or resource gathering, or like maybe a new part of your town that you can build. And now you need to take this idea to the Senate or the Republic, or whatever the political makeup is in Frostpunk 2, and put this policy forth to the different factions and get them to vote it into law. And the problem comes with, obviously, these factions, like I said, competing ideas, and you need to sway them. Or if there's one that are like objectively opposed to it, they will not talk to you. So you go, okay, well, who is willing to talk to me about this? And you go to this faction and you say, okay, what can I do to get your vote? And you've got these options of, you can offer to fund their next venture. You can and there's a couple of other things you can do, like allow them to have a vote on the next policy that you want to engage in, or promise to research a different thing. So you make all these campaign promises as you're trying to get this policy passed. If it passes, great. If it doesn't pass, the policy doesn't pass, but you're still up for those promises, so you better deliver. And I found myself in the situation where I was promising X, Y, and Z. I was researching stuff, but then I realized that by the time one research thing was finished, I wouldn't have enough time to research something else, which would piss off this faction, and it was just this escalating problem where things were very quickly getting out of control. And that's just like the political sphere, because now whilst you're doing that, you're also juggling just the need to survive in this harsh environment. It's cold, it's brutal, people are dying. I'm sending people off to a different place to try and gather resources, and that place is like having tectonic shifts and people are dying from exposure. And I'm like, I just need to send more workers out there until I get that sorted. And so I'm just shipping people off just to mine, and everyone's getting pissed at me, and I'm instilling martial law in my town. It was just falling apart. It was just absolutely crazy. I was just
it's a perfect PC game, though. This is a keyboard and mouse kind of game.
A keyboard and mouse type of game, yeah.
Yeah, you're not. Yeah, you can play this with a controller down the road, probably, but like these games are meant to be played on PC.
Yeah.
And this is a very good-looking game. It runs well on PC too, which is important for this category. But yeah, definitely a worthy nominee in this category. But I will say this is a very diverse group of games here that we have on this list, and it's going to come down to, I think, personal choice as to which is the best. Next up, though, is Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, which we have talked about in another category or two. But yeah, TJ, I know that you've played this for review purposes. Are you playing it on PC?
I am.
Okay.
And it's a great game. I went on for a pretty long time recently about how like it feels like playing through a proper Indiana Jones movie or series. And they captured so much right. Like the environments are beautiful. The investigation is kind of like compelling and intelligent. The brawling is brutal and fun. I love this game. I don't know if I like it more as a PC game than I do as an Xbox game, because of the reason that I said before. Like, it plays like a movie and it plays like a series. I want to sit on the couch and play this with other people engaging in it and enjoy it kind of in the way I would enjoy a movie or a Netflix series. I might be like an outlier in that regard, because just like I don't get that same feeling when I play a game on a PC. But
yeah, Greg and I have talked about this in other categories. Yeah. Like when you sit and you work at your PC all day, when you want to wind down, like sitting on a couch and playing on a console is a great disconnect. But at the same time, like if a game is going to provide the best quality experience on a PC, like an example for me is Flight Simulator. Yeah, it's nice that Flight Sim is on Xbox, but no way in hell do I want to play it on Xbox. I'd rather play it on PC, even if I have to sit on my computer. But yeah, I think your point about Indiana Jones being like a more chill on the couch kind of game, I think that's a good
Popcorn
point.
experience.
I think it's a good point here, because this is like, I would not. I'm not saying that Frostpunk is not a couch game, but like, I would rather play it on PC.
Yeah, I mean, I was standing at my desk yelling at Frostpunk.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Some of you
begging
may
people.
die, but that's a sacrifice Sam is willing to make.
That is correct.
And on the
Which-
other end of that, though, like this is a burly game. Like Machine Games went all out with the id Tech engine on this. It looks absolutely gorgeous, and I'll say it. This is the first game I've had on my RTX 3070 that has told me that lowered my graphics options on preset. Like, and I was like, what? No.
Yep. Welcome to obsolescence, TJ.
So yeah,
I mean,
it's
you're technically like almost 2 generations old now for that GPU.
I
So,
know, and now I'm gonna start feeling it. But like this game is burly, and it can, and if you have the hardware for it, you can make it just look absolutely gorgeous, top to bottom.
but to your point, id Tech also scales very well, so lesser PCs can run this run well. Doom, for instance, Doom and
Yeah.
Doom Eternal are some of the most optimized games out there. They can run on Switch, and they actually run pretty well on Switch. And I think we've seen the Wolfenstein games make their way over to Switch too. So yeah, this is one of the most malleable engines out there when it comes to first person games.
There also
And
there was an Xbox 360 game that right at the end of its life cycle was done by the id people, and it was like it was like a big open world, but it was all one mesh or something, the technology, but it looked absolutely gorgeous for a 360 game, like just incredible.
are
I
you
think
talking about Rage?
yeah, I think so. Yeah, that game, I thought that game looked gorgeous on 360.
Mm.
You
Yeah, I
didn't think it
you're
looked
right
pretty
there.
on a 360 hardware at the end of its life cycle before?
Yeah, that's
It
a good
looked-
point, Greg.
It looked pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, Rage is an interesting thing to bring up, but yeah, it
To that end, though, like to
Mhm.
what you were saying, Asif, I bumped the shadow textures and the hair quality down just a tad, and that took care of it. I was
Mhm.
able to put everything back at high, and it looked just. It hasn't had any frame issues. It hasn't had any visual bugs. Game's been running smooth as silk.
that's hugely important for this category. Like it has to run well. I think to win this category. This next nominee, I'm sad David's not here because he's been really pushing this agenda all year. We got like a Doom 1+2 remake for free if you already owned these games. Like I think this was at QuakeCon. They announced like here's a new episode, and here's all these new things, and it's like all the things that you love from these different mods. We're gonna give you these in a nice little package, and it was free. And I think most people own Doom and Doom 2 for PC, so it's a nice thing. Obviously runs best on PC. It's hard to say that we just talked about this like gorgeous new machine games running on id Tech 7 point whatever, and we're talking about like a pre id Tech game here. I just think it says something about the Doom franchise and also these original Doom games that this stuff still gets people excited. There's something about the original Doom and its level design and Doom 2 and the level design and the weapon design that I think still is fun in 2024.
They're foundations. That's what they are. Like these games,
Yeah, they are
they're
the pillar.
foundations that people build off of for decades.
Yeah, they're like the pillar, like kind of like Super Mario Bros.
Mhm.
Is like a pillar. I agree. Doom 1 and 2 and the multiplayer maps in 2, I think, opened the door for so many things.
Yeah.
So yeah, just from a historical perspective, but also from like a game that came out on PC perspective, what they gave us with this new Doom, I don't know what to call it. It's like a remake, remaster, something, re-release. Very
You had
cool.
an original dev on it, so like they did work on it. Like it was not just a remaster.
Yeah, it was
TJ,
like 3 teams worked on it.
Yeah,
It is like
they
it's
took
a big
time.
deal.
They took time. They did
It's
the
a
night
new
dive
package
thing.
entirely. Like don't think you're just getting the same old Doom. You're not. You're
It's
getting
not
a
a
new
port.
episode,
Yeah,
and
it's not just a port.
you're getting like actual work was done to make it run, and yeah, they did some cool stuff at QuakeCon too. They had like the Doom, I think it was Doom 1 or 2 on a NES cartridge. They're doing all sorts of cool stuff. Our next nominee is the Axis Unseen. This is from Nate Perkypile. The heavy metal first-person survival game, I believe, is open world. I use all the right buzzwords. I think I did. It's a cool world. Nate's built a lot of interesting places in Bethesda games in the past. So if you played Fallout 76, Fallout 4, or if you played Skyrim, Donovan, like this man built some of your favorite locations. And I think everything Nate's done in this game, from when it comes to like the use of nanite particles and like some of the most cutting edge tech that you see in Unreal Engine 5, is impressive. This is a game that like, it may not be the most optimized game. You may need a beefy computer to really get the most out of it. But you know, he literally has a mode in it called potato mode. So if your PC is lesser than like even TJ's 3070, there is an option to make it run better. The music in this game is outstanding. The atmosphere is really cool. Interesting weapon choices. You know, it's not a whole lot of combat options. Like I would say that the combat chess is like probably the biggest negative that I've read about in this game, is that there's just not a whole variety of ways to kill or to fight. But also the use of like real, I shouldn't say real, but like human mythological beings, right? So like the concept of like a Bigfoot or like a Yeti or like a, you know, those kinds of creatures exist
Folklore.
in this world.
Yeah, all the different folklore.
Like mythical and folklore beasts, you know, like Bigfoot or whatever you want to call it. They're out there. The chupacabra, whatever. I hope that this game sees updates. Because this is the kind, it feels like Nate built like a really good sandbox, and now it just needs more stuff to do in it. But for a first effort from a single dev, this is outstanding outcome, and just shout out to Nate for getting that shipped. Anyone else want to chime in on Axis Unseen? Or
Yeah, I
move on?
think it's cool too if you go back and look at our interviews with him. It's really interesting to see that he was really tired of like the whole it's a bureaucracy when you make games like Skyrim and Fallout. There's so many sub departments and approval processes and things. It's a huge game, hundreds, thousands of people working on it for 4 years. It's very regimented, and then when you go to make your own game, you can do whatever you want. And that's really what he wanted to do, and he exceeded that. He did whatever he wanted to do without having to go through approvals or be told no or had to sit in meetings constantly. So I think that's cool. You get to see both sides of it in those interviews, the indie side, the individual side, then the corporate, because it still is a big process. Even for as great as Skyrim and Fallout are, like it's a big process to make those games. It's not complete and utter creative freedom everywhere, like everyone thinks it is.
Yeah, but there is a collaborative effort required for that stuff. Sorry, go ahead, TJ.
When we look back at this year and we look back at the Axis Unseen, it's, to me, Perkypile is a pioneer in this space. And the space, I mean, being an indie developer that adapted early to Unreal Engine 5. He was one of the first developers I saw immediately jump into it and start playing with the toolbox and seeing what he could do. And I think the work that he's done on this game is kind of an important milestone for indie developers to look to as they see what Unreal Engine 5 can do, and what are the benefits, what are the drawbacks, what does the development time look like when you're doing a project like this by yourself.
Nice. And then our last nominee, last but not least, right? Stalker 2. which is by all accounts an awesome game. And it runs better on PC than it does on Xbox, from my understanding.
Yeah, I've had a few crashes.
I mean, during the review period, I had a few crashes, but then when they released the Day Zero patch, and then I believe there's been another patch that came out after that. I haven't crashed since.
Yeah.
But in terms of like scope and like graphical fidelity and systems at play here, S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2 is mind-boggling for what has been achieved here. And we've spoken about S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2 at length in some of our other categories.
Sure.
But just to quickly touch on it, what the developers have managed to achieve in the midst of war is unimaginable. The fact that they've been, displaced and they've continued to work and they've delivered what they have managed to deliver here is awesome. In terms of the gameplay, S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2 is not afraid to make you suffer. And it's not afraid to say, if you want something, you have to work for it, and it's going to be a lonely process. But there's a Zen-like quality to it. It's very introspective. You will be alone the majority of the time, and you're going to be journeying to far-flung places and encountering all sorts of horrors as you go around this beautifully crafted world set in like an alt history Ukraine in the Chornobyl area. And I've thoroughly enjoyed my time with it, and I look forward to continuing to dig into it, especially on PC, where I think it is set to shine the brightest, shall we say, because thanks to the modding community out there, who was a big part of the original S.T.A.L.K.E.R franchise and why people sort of loved it for as long as they did. The developers are obviously going to continue supporting it, but it's also fun to dig into the mods. For someone like me who can tweak his, the experience to something that matches what I need from the game. So, already there are dozens of mods out there, probably hundreds at this point in time, but things like reducing the repair cost of items, increasing the sprint speed and duration, just a bunch of fixes and like adjustments to various lighting, being able to get rid of the shader loading that happens at launch, updates to the AI systems, and weight adjustments and monster health adjustments. Being able to actually tweak this game on PC and just continue to add stuff to it. I think that with a game like S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2, you have to not just look at it from the day in which it was released, but you have to sort of cast your mind forward a bit and based on what has come before it and go, okay, I see what's here and I know the full potential and I'm excited about it.
Yeah, I know
I'm excited
you
to play it
mentioned
outstanding as it is. Yeah.
you mentioned the similarities to like Fallout, but like also I think there's something to be said about how it's gonna different genre kind of, but Skyrim at launch versus Skyrim 5 years later, and what you can do in Skyrim with mods, right? A lot of the things you're saying, Sam, seem to like kind of resemble Bethesda games, where they may not ship in the most stable condition, but they're fun, and the community they allow the community to help improve the game. Which is not true of every game in this category. Like, I don't know what kind of mods we'll see for Indiana Jones, but
that's true. One thing that talking with Bill about S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2, and he's right in saying this, is that it's one of these sorts of games where if you are a fan of an open world's universe, the game feels like home. There's this sense of that, like, oh, I belong in this place. This world is so beautifully crafted and everything has a purpose. As you're walking around, you can see the attention to detail in everything that's been handcrafted and placed by the developers. And you go, this feels like a world that has been lived in. It's breathing, not in a way that a living, breathing, like a real life does, but you can tell that there's an essence to it. You get the feel of like something is going on here and I need to uncover more. And that's just, I haven't even modded it yet, and I just get this sense that I want to dig into this game far more than I've been able to over this very early period because it only came out just a little while ago.
I think the most important question to ask before we vote here is how long until Macho Man Randy Savage is modded into this game?
Oh, is it not already?
Is it not already? Yeah. That's the
I
question.
think that's gonna sway my vote one way or the other here, but I think we should probably vote. What do you guys think?
Sure.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So this is for the best PC game of the year. David had to step out. He voted for Stalker 2. Donovan.
I'm gonna go Frostpunk 2.
Okay. I think we're gonna see a knockout drag down fight between two games here, but we'll see. Greg.
Stalker 2.
Yeah. TJ.
I will go for Stalker 2.
Ozzy voted for Frostpunk 2. Sam.
I think I got to go with Stalker 2 for this category.
Mm-hmm. Steve, are you gonna stick with UFO 50?
Yeah, I'm sticking with UFO 50.
Okay. This is not my jam. Stalker 2 is not my jam. It's not a game that I want to play.
It's like a less funny version of Fallout that's more intense. I don't know.
Very serious. Yeah.
But I enjoy watching it. I enjoy watching people play it. I've enjoyed all of Bill's gameplay, and like I love emergent gameplay games where just the environment and the systems come together to create events that are interesting and that you could talk about. Stalker 2 is that game. The amount of mod support that it already has, I think, also has it deserving of my vote. So yeah, I'm voting for Stalker 2. But once again, like these are all great games in this category. Check them out if you haven't. I know there's like Steam sales that are going to be going on probably during our awards. Usually around Christmas time here in America, we have a Steam sale. I think there's a Steam sale going on as we record this too. So I don't know. There's always a Steam sale.
Probably.
So yeah, check out some of these if you haven't already. But yeah, congratulations, Stalker 2. You are the Shacknews Award winner for the best PC game 2024.
And if we do nothing, houses on the mainland will continue to burn and collapse.